welcome today in Woburn. I'm your host, Samantha Stone. And today we're going to talk about something I know is on a lot of people's mind. The chairperson of the school committee, John Wells, is with us. We're going to talk about teacher contracts and just where things are at and what the next steps are. I know we're all eager to get that settled across the city. And then we're going to talk about some really fun stuff that's happening with the Woburn Chamber of Commerce towards the end of the year with Electra, and we'll get digging in there. Welcome, John.
All right, thank you for having me. Yeah, I know a lot of people are worried. They've probably heard through the grapevine that the teachers rejected the initial contract that had been negotiated by both sides. But I want to reassure people, the teachers do have a contract. The word language in the contract always stipulates that when the contract expires and we're negotiating a new contract, the existing rules and pay scales stay in place until the new contract is signed. So everybody's working with the contract, everybody's following the rules. And so this was an unusual situation. We live in unusual times. What had happened is, and this is typical negotiation practice, we both send a group of negotiators to represent the school committee and the city. So we have Ms. Crowley and Mr. Kissel, and the mayor are the representatives from the city side along with the administration. And then the teachers send a group of representatives from their union. And so these groups have been meeting for several months now. And we had thought they had worked out an agreement. And so usual practices, once an agreement has been reached, there was the signatures on both of the negotiating sides indicating that they agreed to bring this towards their groups. And traditionally what we do is we bring it to the teachers union first. And then if they support it, then we'll vote. And hopefully we'll support it. And in all the past years I've been around, that's happened. This year, for whatever reason, the teachers rejected the initial agreed upon new contract. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with a situation that, okay, we tried, now let's bring the groups back together again. And so the groups are actually meeting today, and hopefully they've laid the groundwork with the initial agreement, and that maybe some minor tweaking can solve the problem, and we can get a new contract signed.
Yeah, thank you. And just for those who are watching, we did, of course, invite the Woburn Teachers Association to also join us. They're not able to. There's an agreement in terms of negotiations, not interviewing. And so, I'm not going to put John in a position to answer any detailed questions that should be private and part of the process that the city and the teachers union goes through. But I appreciate you coming on board. I think one of the things that I've noticed is even outside of Woburn, in many cities, we're seeing what I would consider maybe public relations campaigns by teachers unions with concern and raising. And I think some of that is stemming from the fact that we know, at least on a temporary basis, there's some additional federal funding that has been going into our school systems and things. And of course, teachers want a say in how that is being utilized. Did we, in our negotiations, is there anything related to sort of federal funding that has an effect on the contracts, or is this sort of normal operating procedure that is separate from that?
I think this is pretty normal. We've only been operating under the extended contract, the old contract, for a few months now. In years past, we've gone 6 months, 7 months before contracting. So in some cases, I was surprised that we were able to reach an agreement, the first agreement, so quickly. But I think what it is these are strange times we live in. We're post-pandemic, trying to understand things. We have inflation going on. And so everybody's a little uneasy. And I'm just hoping that, the two groups, they did tremendous work together, reaching an initial agreement. But now maybe we can tweak it, a little bit and get a final agreement, because we want a final agreement. We want the teachers to get their raises. They want to get their raises. And we all want harmony in the school system. And I think that's what we'll get. That's how it's been in the past. Negotiations are always, difficult because each side has their own point of view. But ultimately, we want a fair and equal agreement for the citizens of Woburn and the teachers that work in Woburn.
That's great. I don't want you to comment on this from the point of view of the contract negotiations, but I'm going to just sort of a general question about how things work. So one of the things that people have asked about is the role teachers play in designing curriculum, as well as designing, what those professional development programs and things are going to be. Just normally, how do we do that? Forget the contracts for a moment. How does the school committee and the administration work together today to do that?
So the first thing, we should always emphasize is the school committee oversees the policies. We don't get involved in, the nitty gritty. We do oversee the curriculum. We get reports on curriculum, but the administrators, who are all teachers at one point in their life, are really the ones that work to develop the curriculum. And of course, they get input from the teachers and so forth, what's needed. That's one of the things we're looking at. We're looking at, when we have all these measures for students, we look to see, what kind of questions are being missed. That's how, you think about your curriculum, because we have the standards from the state. The state defines the standards that all students should meet. And what our goal is to see, where are we weak? Where are we strong? Where we're weak? How can we aid the teachers to instruct the students? Where we're strong, how can we get students to achieve? How did we do that? Can we take some of those practices and move them to our weaker things?
Great, excellent.
So everybody's involved.
That's good. That's what we want to hear, right? That's what I think everybody wants to know, because they certainly know what happens in those classrooms and understand that. One other question I had for you. So, I think we'll all be optimistic. You're very optimistic about being able to negotiate and get to a place where we have good contracts. I want to make sure I understand what happens next. So the next thing will happen is when everyone feels that there's an appropriate contract, it'll put back in front of the union for a vote. And then if the union says, yes, we're in favor of it, then it will go to school committee for voting, or city council, or a combination of both.
No. The school committee has only has the authority to approve the contract for the city side. The mayor acts as a representative, because the mayor technically in our charter is part of the school committee. Very rarely, he could come and act as the school committee chair if he'd like, but he tends to leave it to the chair. But he does play an active role, because the city, he is the one that controls the city budget. He knows the entire city budget. We only look at one aspect of it, but the school committee would vote to do it. And it's not that during the course of these negotiations, the other committee members don't know what's going on. We have regular updates from our negotiating team. Here's what we proposed, here's what they proposed, here's where we think we can go. And so we're all optimistic.
All those good things are happening. Those conversations are continuing to happen. We love to see that. And hope that it will come to a good place for everyone.
Yeah, and I should just mention, we're only talking about the teachers, but there are other unions out there: the secretaries, the paraprofessionals, the custodians, the administrators who are not under individual contracts, and I said the cafeteria, but they all have independent negotiating teams too. So we're negotiating not with just the teachers, but all of these groups. And traditionally in Woburn, what's happened is, and the mayor, I should say, on the city side is negotiating with his union, the police and fire department. Mm-hmm. And so usually we come to sort of an agreement about the contract raises, and then all the other unions agree to the same raises, but they're negotiating other aspects of their contract. So each negotiation is a separate thing. Negotiating with the teachers is separate than negotiating with the paraprofessionals, with the secretaries and so forth.
Good. Well, thank you so much, John, for coming on and telling us a little bit about where we are in the process and what's happening. And I really appreciate that.
Okay.
Great. Well, next up, we're going to completely change gears. We're going to forget the students for a minute. Electra, thank you for joining me. We're going to talk about the Woburn Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really glad that you're here. The timing was good to connect because there's, sort of the annual event coming up. Tell us about that and the good things that happen there.
Absolutely. And so December 5th, which is a Monday evening starting at 6:30, we're going to all be at the Crown Plaza. And at this annual event, we do a couple of things. First, networking. So get the business community together. Let's enjoy, give you holiday cheer. We do have a lovely dinner, We honor some amazing humanitarians in the community, as well as we have a Business of the Year award that we love to enjoy and appreciate. And of course, there are raffles and silent auctions. And so, I walked away with many signed autographs of sports heroes last year, but it's wonderful the donations we get, and it's all money for a great local charity.
That's fantastic. So does this money, is it at this event raised for a specific charity or goes into a general pool that gets addressed throughout the year?
It goes into a general pool, and it's certainly, we help charities throughout the year, as well as scholarships for local students. So that's a part of how we help do that in the community.
That's great. So there's some wonderful people being honored, the humanitarians. Tell me a little bit about how they were selected, because there's they both deserve the honor tremendously.
We go through a nomination process, and it's generally looking for people who are out there that care, that stand up, wanting to make a difference in the local community. And you can do it in many ways. And both, Veronica Andrews, who we sadly lost in September of this year, was someone, and Art Duffy, who's our other recipient of the Humanitarian of the Year award. Both these people are activists in their own way in the community. With Veronica, she focused a lot on special needs students. She was a founding member of citywide PTO, and just someone who cared very deeply that everyone was given an opportunity, and she just would show up. Bringing
She
her
was
love.
fantastic. She first introduced me to Woburn Public Media, actually, because I was at a dinner at a Women of Woburn Chamber event. It was
Lovely.
a business association at the time, and we just happened to be sitting at the same table. And I had mentioned I published a book, and she just was immediately gracious and invited me on, and lovely, and such an uplifting human being. And I know has done so many other things, but just incredible. So what a lovely way to honor her legacy.
Yes, yes. And Art Duffy, and this is someone who's involved in so many different ways, whether it's the Redevelopment Authority Board, whether it's New Path, another wonderful local charity, a Rotarian, involved with the Elks Lodge. So community is something that runs very deep, and his caring and bringing his talents and inviting others to join along with him is something he's done for a very long time. So it is yet another wonderful person that we honor.
That's
Yeah.
so great. I'm so glad you're honoring both of them. And the Business of the Year this year
Yes.
is one that is a personal favorite of mine. And loyal watchers know I'm completely obsessed with ice cream. So
Yes,
Nana Betts, right? Yeah.
Yes, and the Barucci family. What a wonderful family business. And talk about, a place in which memories are made and become a tradition, whether it's going after a game or just a Sunday evening together. They have long since hired how many students have worked there. If their hands go up when a need arises, and they're there year after year and supporting, just the community as well as the students. So it is just such a lovely example of.
I have to tell you, the most dangerous addition to Grubhub for my waistline ever was when Nana Betts allowed online delivery ordering. So I both love them and am terrified by that reality that I get to do. But yes, what a wonderful local business that many people get the opportunity to enjoy, and they do hire locally, and it's sort of a lovely local spot for us to.
Yeah, and it's our honor to honor them and thank them for all that they do.
I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much for bringing them up. I'm really glad we had a chance to chat about them. It's for folks who want to get tickets. Do you need to be a chamber member? What's the scoop around that?
Yeah, you don't, so it's open to the public. I mean, we certainly advertise heavily to our membership, but it is an open event, and and certainly with the companies, Nanobet and the folks we're honoring, if you want to come and support them, a wonderful opportunity to do so. But the way to get tickets is to go to our website, which is the woburnchamber.org. And, if you know Chris Kissel, emailing Chris at woburnchamber.org is another way to do it, but you can buy them right online.
That's fantastic. Chris is both negotiating contracts and distributing tickets. I love it. He's
a
he's
busy
one of
guy.
those, he does it all, right? He does it absolutely all. Thank you so much. Is there anything else coming up for next year that I know is a little foreshadowing, but giving us a look ahead of what's to come next?
Sure. Yeah, and so next year, we continue to want to, a lot of the chamber's doing is creating a great environment for local businesses. How is it we get together? So we're continually asking ourselves, what are innovative ways to do that? And so we continue to look at additional programming, additional opportunities, variety of times, dates, and styles. We will be doing another cornhole event in the winter, which was very popular, a lot of friendly competition. We'll be doing a couple of golf events. But a part of how we're helping is we're expanding the way in which we communicate, and really opening the doors for businesses to get more of a flow of communication about what events, how can we help promote events that you have. If you have needs, such as you're looking to hire, how do we make that easier and put the word out for you? Perhaps you're looking for office space, or you have office space that you would like people to know. So we want to continue to do that and really build on what we're doing. And we know that Woburn is looking to bring in an economic development manager, which we see that as a tremendous opportunity to work with someone in that position to say, okay, how do we continue to have Woburn showcased for the wonderful place it is to open a business, and you are welcome, and we want to help you succeed. So that's what we're here for.
I think it's a really wonderful position. I'm super excited about that. I think one of the things we as a city really rallied around, I know the chamber also supported, was around maintaining some of those bus routes. Even I know not
Yes.
necessarily Woburn, but people who have to, if we want employees to come into Woburn who don't necessarily live here, maintaining that kind of public transportation is so critical and important. So these are big, challenging, wonderful opportunities for us as a city, and I'm glad that you, as well as a new resource on the city, will be able to help strive for those. I'm going to read this because I want to make sure I don't misconstrue, but sort of thematically, the strength of people, power of community. I know that's being used in promoting the event. Tell us what that means to you and to the chamber overall.
At the heart, it's saying that as a community, bringing people together, we all win. We make heavy work that feels daunting, lighter and easier and more achievable together. So it's looking for those win-win situations, ways in which not only is the business community winning, but the people of Woburn are winning. And that's a part of what we're trying to create an environment for. And that's why our theme is that the strength of people is the strength of communities, the power of the community.
I love it. Thank you so much for all the work that you do, and all the folks who work with the chamber and all the businesses who belong to it. If you aren't, this is a great opportunity to look at next year and think about ways to join. Thanks to John Wells for helping catch us up on our teacher negotiations. And as always, Woburn, please continue to take good care of each other.